Hello and welcome to the Capsule. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're good. I am by myself today. I'm a one-man army. My co-hosts are all out of action. Tally's not here. Sophia's in another country. Abe is working. Jenny's in another country. Kieran's in another city. Lewis is in another city. Lee's at work. Who else possibly could there be? Everyone who is possibly associated with the Capsule or has ever been on this podcast, have talked to me about this podcast, all of them are all busy. Harry's in another city. Everybody's busy at work, doing something. This is the first time in 30 that's a lie. Not the first time. In 30 weeks I have done 2 solo podcasts. So that means, what is that, like 7 months or something like that? I've only done 2 solo podcasts. And yeah, this is the third. Feels a lot stupider wearing sunglasses when I'm by myself. I don't know why. With people, it makes me feel cooler. But am I taking them off? No. Hope everybody's good and had a good week. There wasn't so much that happened in the past week. There wasn't any events that stirred up any conversation. And even if there was, who would I talk about them with? There was the Get Down in Manchester, which happened. But besides that, I don't know that there was many other battle events. Next week is Battle Bad in Paris. And Sheku is a guest, so that'll be cool. That's something to look forward to. I've been to Battle Bad a couple of times. We actually ran the UK qualifier for Battle Bad back in, I want to say, 2016. And that was dope. And lots of people came to that. We held it in Studio B in Brixton. Got a crazy good turnout. Some people from other countries. A lot of people from here. And the people that won that, I think it was Valmira, Recklessly, and Brooke. Brooke ended up not being able to go, so they put Bruce, Just to Boo Bruce, as a guest in place of Brooke. And then Recklessly and Valmira, who won hip hop and break-in, both got to the finals in Paris in the main event, which made the UK look great. And so that was that. It's a really dope jam. I really like Battle Bad. I saw a couple of UK people asking about it on Insta, so I don't know if we're gonna have more people going than just Sheku. I would assume a few people might go. I was actually looking at tickets to go, and then whatever, it just didn't happen. But it's definitely a good one, and I think it's nice to see, especially some of the younger people looking to travel and get out, because we've been on their case so much about that. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm interested to see now if we are, I don't know, maybe I'm imagining things, but it seems as if we're getting more into an era that sounds too dramatic, like a stage where the younger kids are starting to look at traveling more. I've seen little bits of it, and obviously as much as we're on their case about traveling and stuff, the pandemic and stuff, it made things a lot harder for people to travel, just like logistically, but also money wise and stuff. Like, these kids probably, as much as they're amazing dancers, they're also studying and stuff like that, so to have money to travel is probably a bit difficult. But if we are, I'm starting to hear like murmurs and whispers about like, oh, can someone hook me up with someone in Paris, or like these type of things. And I'm like, okay, I see you guys like starting to look at traveling. So I think that would be cool. It's always cool when you see people from the country, like in other countries representing and stuff. I think we've spoke about this before. I don't know if it was on the podcast, but there's a thing where when you're in the country, there's always, especially in anything competitive, whenever you're in the country, like the smaller you take the sample size, I guess, the more competition between each other there is, if that makes sense. So within London, you might be like, oh, I'm in this crew and that person's in that crew and I want to beat them, blah, blah, blah. When we think of the UK, you're like, oh, people in London, I'm proud of people in London. And then especially if it's someone from London going against someone in Manchester, or someone from Manchester going against someone from Birmingham, you know, the person from Manchester might support someone who's not in their crew, but lives in the same city as them or whatever, right? And then when you broaden that and you're like, okay, now we're looking at the worldwide scene, which I think has been missing from our scene for a little bit, especially in the top styles thing. I don't know so much about the breaking, but we've kind of missed this worldwide travel and battle thing, especially from the younger generations. And obviously, like I said, the pandemic is a lot to blame for that. But now when we start to see that thing where we're looking at the world scene, now we're like, anyone from the UK that we see doing stuff in different places, we're kind of on their side no matter how competitive we are against that person in our day-to-day life, you know, or not day-to-day life, but our day-to-day competitive life, you know. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's nice to, you learn so much from seeing how other countries and other cultures do things. And just as a general traveler, but also within the hip hop scene, like every country has its own hip hop scene and its own battle scene and its own way of doing things. And the ciphers sometimes feel slightly different. The competitions are run in a slightly different way. And like some places are mad competitive and some places are super loving and kind and welcoming. And it's all cool in different ways. You know, I love going and seeing how these different places, their takes on things, you know. And it's also nice as a dancer because you're like, I think when you are in a country and you live in a country and you battle in that country and that's the only place that you dance, especially in this competitive kind of world, I think it's the same with theatre and other stuff, but people get used to you be like dancing how you dance and they see your progress from the bottom up, which is a good thing and you want that. But there is something nice about having fresh eyes on what you do. I always talk about it with my hip hop and popping because especially when I was doing popping before, now I've like stopped doing hip hop and I do pretty much only popping. I might enter the odd hip hop battle for fun, but the main focus now is popping. But before, when it was the main focus was hip hop and I was doing a bit of popping, everybody associated in the UK tended to associate my popping with my hip hop, mainly because it was associated and I wasn't able to separate the styles and, you know, dance in two, which is, I think is hard anyway, but like dance in two different ways depending on the style. But what happened was when I would go, there's a couple of times when I went overseas and I didn't enter hip hop and I only entered popping, and they just take it as a blank slate. They're like, oh, you're a popper. So they don't say, oh, it looks too much like your hip hop, or it looks like you're doing hip hop and you need to work on this. They're just like, oh, well, as a popper, you have this type of style and I think it's cool and here's my advice or whatever. But I kind of got treated like a popper when I only entered popping or whatever. And similarly with my hip hop, like people see the journey and they see what sort of style I was in and stuff. But then when you go overseas, they're just like, they just take it as a blank slate and they're like, oh, that's cool. I like it. I like what you do, or I don't like what you do. But regardless, it's not based on any personal interactions with me or my growth over the years. It's just like, hey, I just saw you today. I think you look cool or whatever. So I always enjoyed having the fresh eyes, and I felt like I was a bit more energized to do my stuff because nobody was expecting anything from me. There was no expectations, but there was also like no, oh, I've seen that move before or anything like that. So it was like I could just do everything fresh, and it feels good to travel and get out there. And some of my best friends around the world have met from traveling and with dance, whether it's for like competitions like HHI in Vegas or battles or, you know, any of this stuff. Like I met some of the closest people in my life due to like leaving the country to battle. So, or to dance in general. So I think, yeah, it's something that is super important and I super encourage. Not that we haven't said that before on this podcast. Yeah, what else is going on in the world? Cross-Platform just announced that they are back, which is super dope. If you don't know about Cross-Platform, it's a event/platform run by Ivan Blackstock, who you probably should know already, but if you don't, check him out. He is a choreographer, a dancer, freestyler, but generally a creative, an all-around creative, let's say. But he runs this platform called Platfxrm, and the idea is it's a mix between street culture and technology, which is a cool mix, I think. I think I photographed like their first ever event. That was maybe back in 2016, 17. And yeah, happy to be able to say that we're going to be working with them on this event, kind of like a nice full circle moment. They've got, I'll check out some of the details, but basically we're going to be working as the Capsule, me and Sophia actually, as kind of the media team for the weekend. I'm also going to be hosting a panel talk, which I'm super excited for, which is going to be in collaboration with the Capsule and will be available on all of our platforms after the event as a kind of podcast as we do. So yeah, it's going to be at Brixton House, which is unsurprisingly in Brixton. And it says it's going to be celebrating new subcultural transmissions via art, dance, film, and panel discussions. So this year there's going to be an art installation by Henrique J. Paris, a series of short films, and then a panel discussion with moi. And then on the Saturday, there's going to be a battle run by Oddventure. It's called the OV battle. If you don't know Oddventure, he's also a very creative young man. Videographer, very present in the dance scene, has done a lot within the dance scene with filming and videography. And yeah, filmmaking, you know, a lot of times he's not just kind of filming events and stuff. He's creating his own short films and stuff like that. And he's worked with Ivan before, so that's cool. And he is running a battle, which is going to be an all-styles battle. I don't exactly know the concept for it, but obviously you'll see via his page and the cross-platform page more details. But it's a all-styles battle where there's different concepts where people link up together and this type of thing. You don't have to come with a partner, but you end up like paired up and stuff, which is another kind of battle where people are playing with the format, which I think is good. When people play with the formats of battles, I think you can get it wrong. Not that he has or will, but I think with the formats of battles, we spoke about this as well in the pod, but you can, like, there's different ways to experiment with the format of a battle. So obviously, like, Seven to Smoke is a classic example because it's not the traditional 1 versus 1 battle with a prelim before and stuff like that. You have your prelim, but then everybody that passes through, if you don't know what Seven to Smoke is, it's like King of the Hill basically in kids games and stuff. Winner stays on. If you beat all 7 of your opponents, because there's 8 of you, so one person, if they beat all the 7, then it stops. Or if there's a time limit, when that runs out, whoever's got the most wins. I think Seven to Smokes are good because it tests you in a different way. It tests your stamina, how much you can kind of keep creating, how much you can, like, when you win and don't have a break, what can you keep producing, which I think is cool. And it covers some of the stuff that we miss from the simple one-on-one battles. I'm all for people playing with the concepts of a battle and trying to come up with new ways. I think it's hard because if you don't know exactly what the rules are, you kind of check out a little bit. I think like Fusion Concept, I don't know if they still do it, but had a whole thing where you pull a card and then you have like cards and then you can pull a card and it can change the song, or you can do this or you can, I don't know, like pick another dancer, or that person can't battle. And there's a whole, it's like almost playing Monopoly or something. Obviously, another great example of playing with the format that's worked is Summer Dance Forever, where the judges kind of get involved and you have your normal prelims, your normal battles, and then they pick a top 12 instead of a top 16, and then it goes down to 3, and then those 3 people in a knockout way, those 3 people then battle the judges, and then it goes, and then because there's one person left, you can bring someone back, and it's a bit complicated as well. But for some reason, Summer Dance, the concept is a bit like, I think because they've stuck with it over the years, it's a bit more like everybody understands it and kind of gets what's going on, and it's also really well explained during the event. But yeah, I think sticking to the concept and just, I'm sure the first 1 or 2 times that they did Summer Dance, everyone was a bit confused, but now after this many years, it's like, okay, cool, we get what's going on basically, and we kind of look forward, oh, this is the part where they're going to bring someone back or whatever. So I think those things are necessary, like to really cement different concepts. I mean, the Odd Venture Battle is not this complicated. I'm just going off on a tangent. I'm just riffing, guys. But yeah, I think more people should play with the concepts if they're planning to keep like a long-standing event. If it's just a one-off event, maybe go with a good old classic battle just because it's what everyone knows and loves. But yeah. Anyway, cross-platform should be good. Check out the cross-platform page and the Odd Venture page for the details for that. You'll definitely see us there. And yeah, speaking of panel discussion, event collaboration kind of thing, this is my rusty segue. We put out the Red Bull Dance Your Style interviews, which are up now on our YouTube channel. Please go and check them out. That was super dope to do, and it was nice to like actually work with Red Bull on something. Hopefully there's more to come, fingers crossed. If you want there to be more to come, or you like what we did, please go and check it out, share it, like it, comment, whatever. Because yeah, we definitely want to do more collaborations. I think it's pretty much confirmed now, but we're going to be at the Breaking League in October as well. The details of that are still being worked out, but yeah, we're going to be at the Breaking Leagues event in October in Derby, so that's going to be dope. Yeah, hoping to get to more events and like collaborate with more events to do some of the kind of podcasts and talks type of thing. I think it's super important. Clearly, I've been doing this for a while now. And yeah, I think it's a nice different addition to have at events. I think a lot of live events do have panel talks and discussions and stuff, and yeah, I just think you need the people and the kind of infrastructure, I guess, to be able to run these things, which I can now provide. So yeah, give me a shout if you want to work on something, or go and check out those events where I'm going to be at. And yes, I don't know if there's much else coming up, to be honest. We've got, to be honest, at the same day as the Odd Venture Battle, AIM Collective are doing their intensive again. We spoke about this recently. Well, no, not recently. We've spoken about this in the past. But yeah, the AIM Collective are doing, they're a popping group. Sean Amy is the founder, but there's a lot of amazing ladies who are in the collective. We did a podcast with them, so check that out. Yeah, so they do an intensive, which I think is a great idea. They did have like a regular class for a while. I don't know how well it did or didn't go, but the class is no more. But I think the intensives are dope. They've been seemingly packed every time, and I think it's a really good thing because people may, especially being dancers, most dancers who are professionals are freelance, right? So being able to like adjust your schedule to be able to be at a class every single week is super hard. And I think it tends to be the people who have regular jobs that tend to be at the same, like tend to be regulars at a class. There may be a few who happen to be able to sort it out, but I think for a lot of freelancers, it's super hard to be able to guarantee where you're going to be every week at the same time, you know? But I think with the intensives, it's like you mark a date, whether it's once every few months, whether it's once a month. I know Clara and Frankie do once a month, I think. I don't know whether they do it every single month for the whole year, but I know they have been doing monthly workshops. And I think these type of things are way better because it's more of an event, so people get more excited about it. There's more of a lead up to it. You can make them longer, rather than doing just like a 1 hour class or whatever. So therefore you feel like you're more into it and it's worth the money more. And it's something where I can arrange my schedule around one date. Like I could say, nah, I can't do that date because I'm going to the AIM thing, right? But if it's every week, I can't really justify doing it every single week and keeping, let's say, a Thursday night free every single week for the whole year. It's super hard. So yeah, I'm really a big fan of the intensives format for teaching and sharing your knowledge. AIM Collective also do some really interesting stuff. I like how they're doing these intensives. It's not just a straightforward workshop and class, which I think is dope as well. I love workshops, and I think you know, you can learn a lot from them. So what they do in theirs is that they have a guest teacher, which this time is going to be Brooke. They're going to do also a 7 to Smoke battle within the intensive. So I think at the end of the intensive, they're going to include a battle. So they're going to teach, they have obviously the pop-in workshop, and then they have an open jam. And then after that, they're going to do some battle practice. So they're going to have mentors and people that come around and help you, and you're going to practice battling and go against each other and then work on your popping within that. I think that's super dope, and that's especially a super dope idea because we often go straight from workshop to competing, and we kind of train battle stuff within our groups and within our friendships and in our like casual training, let's say. But to have in a workshop like battle training, I think is super important, and it's something that we miss out on. People are great dancers and then they go to battle and compete and then they lose their shit, and it's a whole different thing if you've never tried it, and it's really intimidating to get your practice in the real world. I think it's the best way to do it, personally, to just go out and actually battle and just dust off the rust like that. But some people, like, they're not set up like that. They might be anxious or whatever. So I think having battle practice in a workshop straight after you've gained a bunch of skills, I think is dope. And then they have the 7 to Smoke battle. So there's an interesting concept. It's only for people that are attending the intensive, and they said that competitors will be selected during the intensive. I don't know how they're going to get selected, but maybe it's like a casual prelim. So as you're doing your battle practice, maybe they're looking out for people. I'm not sure. But basically everybody gets it's a 7 to Smoke battle, and everybody gets £5 per round. If you win one battle, you get £5. If you win 5 battles, you get £25. If you don't win, you don't get anything. So like I was saying earlier about 7 to Smokes, if you're doing round by round, let's say you win 4, but then somebody else wins 5, you're still getting 20 quid out of that, even if you didn't win the whole thing. So I think that's super cool. And it's a different, kind of like the Kingdoms League, actually. It's a different way of looking at battling. It's not necessarily about the win. It's just about racking up a bunch of rounds, and you might be happy with second place because you're still getting stuff. And I think that's a super good motivation. I do think that we should reward not just the winner. I think that's a super important thing that is sometimes being missed out on battles, and it's really hard to do on a smaller scale, because let's say you only have 100 quid for your prize money. Who you gonna, like, you want to give 100 quid to the winner. It feels unfair to say here's 60 quid for the winner and then 40 quid for second place. It feels a bit shitty. So I get it, but I do think it's something that we need to work our way around. Maybe there's like a way that you can give out something else, maybe like a t-shirt or whatever, to second, third, fourth place. So I think something like this is really cool. It's going to be at Sadler's Wells. Just basically it's going to be the same as the other workshops that they've done, and besides this 7 to Smoke thing, and that Brooke is teaching the workshop. So the only unfortunate thing is that's on the same day as the OV battle. I know when these clashes happen, people get a bit annoyed and they're like, why do they have to do that on the same day? I think often, if it can be avoided, I think we should all check out the calendar, the Capsule's UK Street Dance calendar first. But also, if it can be avoided, I think we should. But sometimes it's not as simple as just pick any date that you want your event to be on, because you have the availability of the entire staff and all that. But also, it's a lot of time is dictated by the venue. It might be, some of these things might be dictated by funding. So when you get funding for anything, from whether it's Arts Council or the government or council or whatever, right? You sometimes have a time when you need to spend that money by, right? So it has to be spent by this time because of the way it's allocated. So sometimes events need to happen because it's like, listen, this is the furthest weekend from now because you want to give yourself enough time to plan. And it's the last weekend we can do it within this time period that we have to spend this money. So as much as it might clash, and I'm not saying this is the case for cross-platform, I have no idea, but yeah, there's that. There's also, it's the venue that might say, listen, we're going to work with you on this event, but we can only do it on this weekend or on this day. And you might not really have a choice because you might say, it's clashing now, but to build this partnership with a venue, and if I'm looking over the next 10 years of building an event, all right, the first one might clash, I might get slightly less of an audience and people might not be able to go somewhere, but that it's worth it for what I'm trying to build down the line. Do you know what I mean? So there's way more to consider when running an event than just like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, pick this date, put on the event, run it and go, you know, because it's like there's a million things to think about. Also, your target demographic actually might not be the dancers, right? So, and there might be two completely different ones. So aims, let's say, for example, let's take cross-platform and let's take the OV battle and let's take aim because there's a clash. There's been clashes in the past, a billion of them. But if let's say you're a battler, let's say you're a popper, you might be annoyed by the clash, right? Because you might be like, I want to go to aim's thing, I want to battle, I want to learn, but also I want to go and do the all-stars battle at thingy, and I can't because we're on the same day. Actually, if you look, and I don't know any of this from an internal, so disclaimer, I'm not talking from a place of expertise on cross-platform. But their thing is about street culture, and they're doing an exhibition, they're doing panel talks, it's a whole thing, right? So they might be looking more towards the art community or the general public or whatever. And they might be including dancers to include them in the thing, and especially because Ivan comes from a street dance background. So it might be like that's not their main audience, but they're just including the dancers, right? AIM, they actually might not be doing that for battlers, even though it's a battle thing. They might be doing it for amateurs or beginners, or they might be doing it for people that don't do popping and want to get into popping, because you've got the education element and you've got the practice kind of safe space battle element. So you might, as much as you see yourself in the middle of that Venn diagram or whatever the clash is, it might be like, oh, these two events that I want to go to are on the same day. That's so unfair. Which, you know, I also get sometimes, because it's like sometimes people just don't do their research and realize there's other events on the same day. That happens, and I can't back up just shitty organization. But sometimes you see yourself in the middle of that Venn diagram, but if you look at the two events and who they're aiming at, these two events might not clash at all, right? It's kind of like being like, oh, the FA Cup final and the flipping, I don't know, the coronation of the Queen of Denmark is on the same day. And it's like, if you happen to be one of the people that like wants to see both of those things, you have to choose. But really, they're not for the same target audience. And obviously I'm exaggerating, but that might be the case with some of these smaller events. But yeah, clashes are going to keep happening. I think we have the event calendar and we're trying to keep it updated so that we can, there's some type of resource, but obviously not everyone's going to check it, and maybe we're going to miss stuff here and there. But, and especially we're not covering like worldwide stuff. So if there's other battles across the world that you want to go to, you know, it's really hard, but it's kind of, that's the deal with this, where there's no like one governing body or one kind of organization that all the information flows through. I mean, fingers crossed 10 years from now, that could be the capsule. But yeah, I mean, this is why we need infrastructure. And this is partially why I do what I do and we do what we do with the capsule, because we need this infrastructure in order for everyone to just know what's going on. And you know, there's two events on this day, there's that on that day, there's this happened, so that means this is going on. Especially with stuff like the Kingdoms League and stuff, you want to build, not that the Kingdoms League are the first people to ever do like a league or an organizational thing, but like you want that's infrastructure. You want there to start being some common thread throughout the year and not just random events all over the place, which we had for a long time, especially in the UK and especially in Top Styles. But yeah, so AIM Collective is on the same day. I mean, make your choice, decide which one you want to go to. I'm going to be at neither because I am working in Bournemouth. So I will not be working on Sophia's going to be working with me, so she will be there for the OV battle on behalf of the Capsule. And yeah, unfortunately, we won't be there at the AIM thing. Otherwise, I would have been there with bells on, because I do love AIM Collective and I love I love their workshops actually. But yeah, I would strongly recommend it. But yeah, seeing as I don't have my wonderful co-hosts here to entertain you and to go back and forth with and to make silly jokes with, I'm going to wrap it up to save you having to listen to just my voice. Hopefully next week there's not going to be a pod at the regular time, because we have a live pod going on that is going to come out probably like Saturday or Sunday next week. So next week it'll feel, if you're a regular listener, it'll feel like there's no pod, but there is a pod and it's coming. But yeah, it'll be out on the weekend because there's a live podcast coming in place of this. This is actually our last week at East London Dance as well. So want to say massive thank you to East London Dance. This building is beautiful. It's the Talent House on Sugar House Island in East London. Really beautiful building. They've been super accommodating and like helped us out to run the podcast here while I had a madness going on at home with housing situations. We are moving into our new place this weekend. So after the live pod that comes out, we should be all set up in our new spot in the undisclosed location. I don't want to tell you because, you know, the fans be running up on me. No, just because it's my house. But yeah, so we're going to have a nice, lovely setup back at home in our new flat. So that'll be super dope. And hopefully that'll make it easier for the co-host to be able to get there so we can arrange around each other's schedules. But yeah, massive thanks to East London Dance. Do check out their socials, and if you get a chance to come to ELD and do classes, and they have all sorts of stuff going on, which I recommend you check. They've been super supportive of not only the Capsule and the podcast, but also me as an artist and doing other stuff. I've done some R&D stuff here, and yeah, just massive thanks to them. I guess we'll probably do more with them. You'll see more of us here. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. This reminds me of like the first podcast I did. I was looking back at it. It's fucking horrendous. Not that this is much better, but yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you listened and tuned into this one, if you just were like, Tally and Abe and Lee and Sophia aren't there, so I'm not going to tune in, then you're not listening now, so I can't insult you. But if you did tune in and you're a loyal listener and you listened all the way to the end, thank you so much. We love you. I love you. Because there's no we here, because no one else is here. But yeah, leave us a comment, subscribe, like, all the stuff. Like the engagement stuff super duper helps. Like if you're a listener and you can just drop us a little comment, even if it's like a little fire emoji or like the video or share it with a friend or whatever, all that stuff super duper helps. And it's like stuff that I can't do. Like I can only promote it so much. It's like the audience. If you like it, I'm not asking you. If you don't think it's worth sharing with a friend, don't do it. I don't want fake engagement or fake help, you know? Like if there's someone you think would like this, let them know about it. But yeah, there's also the street dance calendar, which is in our link in our bio. There's also a link to donate. We've had a few very generous donations, and thank you so much to everyone that does donate. It just helps us with the little bits, like when something goes wrong and there's a wire that breaks or a light that breaks, or you know, we have to go to an event to cover it and the event doesn't have budget for us to go, and we still want to be there, so sometimes we can, you know, pay for train tickets and stuff from that. It goes towards the kind of any operational stuff where we're not getting paid to do something, but we need to cover expenses, or we need to cover some equipment costs, or we need to cover hiring a studio or something like that, where there's no budget for that outside of, you know, when we do get hired to work on events, then there's budget. When we don't, and we still want to do something, sometimes we need a little helping hand, and that's what the donations are for. So if you have a minute and you have some money, or a rich friend, if you have a rich friend, show them the podcast. But yeah, no, thank you to especially the people that I know are freelancers or, you know, not rich and have donated. Like, not that it means, I don't know if it should mean more, but it does, because your income is less disposable, I guess. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And yeah, we will catch you guys next week. In the meantime, please go check the Red Bull Dance Your Style podcast on all the audio platforms and YouTube. We are on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, like any audio. If you like to listen or you're in the car or whatever, we're not only on YouTube, so check us out there. And if you're listening on Spotify, we're also on YouTube, guys. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say. I'll see you guys soon. Love you all. Thank you so much. See you later.